Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 5th episode of SpeedTalk, Swimming with ESports. Today I'm joined by Ghost.
Hello everyone, my name is Ghost. My Twitch name is GhostTSR, but my screen name is normally GhostT. And I'm really happy to be on this episode with Zach. Super excited to be talking to you about my journey in speedrunning and hosting your own esports team, if possible.
Yep. So, Ghost, right off the bat, my first question is kind of a pretty lengthy question, I guess, but where did you kind of start out with speedrunning? I actually don't know that much about you compared to all the other episode guests. I feel like so far, I don't really know what game you mainly speedrun. So yeah, feel free to go through that. But
all right, so starting way back in around 2012 is when I got my introduction to speedrunning. So it's a really interesting story. When I was around 8 or 9 years old, I was pretty much like one of those YouTube kids where I used to watch a lot of videos on YouTube. And my introduction to speedrunning was actually not speedrunning, but the concept of tool-assisted speedruns. So one of the games I used to play a lot back in the day, which a lot of speedrunners actually have in common with me nowadays, is Mario Kart Wii. I used to be a big fan of that game. I used to play online almost every day. My parents used to get super interested in my gameplay of Mario Kart Wii. So when I was young and watching a lot of videos about Mario Kart Wii, there was a video by a user of the name TaskMalio that appeared where he goes over the introduction of tasking, and I was able to see some of the other tasks that he also made. So my introduction to speedrunning was through tool-assisted speedrunning, but I also got into the pipeline of Speed Demos Archive, which back in the day was the original website of speedrunning overall. So Speed Demos Archive, or SDA for short, was the main hub or website of where speedrunning mostly originated from. So there were a lot of games that were on Speed Demos Archive. The one game that really intrigued me was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So that was the game I first saw a actual speedrun of in 2012. The run was a Twilight Princess any percent speedrun and was done by the user Fino, who's a pretty OG speedrunner in the Twilight Princess community, and I think he's still doing runs, but his SDA run was kind of like my introduction to speedrunning. So as a result, I just kind of existed to watch speedruns. So back then, the main games I used to watch as speedruns were Twilight Princess, and another game, which is Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. So the same tasker that I mentioned, his name is TaskMalio, right? He also later in 2014 developed a tool-assisted speedrun for Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. And I got really intrigued with it and continued to watch more of his tasks as he got better at making them. So I think it was around the peak of 2016 where I got super invested into Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door speedrunning, because 2016 was an amazing time for T2ID speedrunning, Zach. So if you don't know, during 2016, that was when the biggest skip, Palace Skip, was actually found. And from there, I actually started looking more at Malio's progression of making the tools to the speedrun. So from there, that's when I got my introduction to Twitch. So Twitch, I never really knew about until Malio started streaming attempts there, and I followed a stream, and that was pretty much my introduction to Twitch itself. So speedrunning, I got introduced way early back in 2012 with Tassing and Speed Demos Archive, and 2016 is when I got introduced to the overall idea of Twitch. So back in Twitch, there were not many people I used to follow early on, because a lot of the speedruns I used to follow, there were not many active runners. One of those games I also followed was Skyward Sword, because I actually completed Skyward Sword in 2016, and I decided to look up glitches and tricks in the game. And there was a YouTuber by the name of Paraxade who posted some pretty interesting stuff. One of the main glitches was back in time. So because of back in time, I got really invested into Skyward Sword speedrunning, and that's where I found the first speedrunner that I was pretty obsessed with. His name is Gymnast86, and I kind of knew about him in like the 2014 to 2015 era when he was pretty big with Wind Waker, but he's also pretty big in the Skyward Sword speedrunning community. So from 2016 to 2017, I never really got interested in speedrunning, but I used to be a very good watcher of the games. But it wasn't until 2017, around October and November, where the game Super Mario Odyssey got released. And that was my introduction to the overall speedrunning scene. So I started streaming full time in early January of 2018. I originally started off with doing Super Mario Odyssey speedrun attempts for sub 120. And overall, I did dabble in other games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Wii Sports Resort. But overall, I think the main game I used to come back to all the time was Super Mario Odyssey. So as a result, I took like periodic breaks between running Super Mario Odyssey to run other games. So another game I used to run was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, which released in 2016. And back then, when 2018 was like the peak time of Super Mario Odyssey, I think that's when I got like very invested in Super Mario Odyssey. So after 2018 to 2019, I continued playing Super Mario Odyssey, and April of 2019 was when digital released. And after that, I started doing serious attempts, and I really wanted to get good at the game. So around 2019, I did also have a lot of school that I used to focus on. So I did focus on school, but as a result, I never really like played a lot of Super Mario Odyssey. So I really thought it would just be like something that I would just a hobby that I would just pick up and pass through time. But around 2020 March, that's when the pandemic hit, and that's when I became very invested in speedrunning. I think due to boredom at home, it was like the only thing I was really doing. And Super Mario Odyssey, thankfully, was the only game I used to speedrun. So after the pandemic, until like the summer of 2021, I was just mainly speedrunning Odyssey. And the reason why I kind of got like known in the community was because I used to run the one category that not many people ran. It was Dark Side. So Dark Side was probably how many people describe it to be would be any percent plus extra moons. For some reason, I was very, very passionate about the category. Not because of the any percent part, but mostly because post game was really cool. So because of that, I was able to push my time in Dark Side, and I peaked around late 2020 when I got top 3 in the category. So
what's your
that
PB?
was kind
Sorry, what's your PB?
my PB is a 144.23, which was top 3 at the time. So it was a pretty good run for my standards. And I did meet a lot of the top runners through Dark Side. So a lot of the runners like Ganon, Hey There, Psionic, I'm still very good friends with them to this day, but I don't talk with them, but I'm still on good terms with them. But back then, that was like the main category I was known for. So a lot of people actually like knew me for Dark Side, for being that Dark Side guy. But now I don't run the game anymore, or I don't run Dark Side anymore, so I'm pretty washed up with the category. So, yeah, that's all. I want to give a shout out to Jambo for continuing the Dark Side supremacy. I really like that man. He has pushed his limits in Super Mario Odyssey, and I'm really happy that he gave Dark Side the time of day. So, shouts to Jambo.
Yeah, I also really like that man. Jambo's a great guy. We had him in episode 1, SpeedTalk. He was a great guest, him and
Awesome.
Zach. Zach actually, shout outs to Zach Novux too. I said this in the first episode, but he is like kind of responsible for the entire layout of this entire series, pretty much, and the logo. So like, trust me, if you saw the layout that I cooked before Zach in the Box stepped in, I don't think this would have as many views because it was pretty hideous compared to this. It was bad.
But yeah. Just continuing on. So around 2021, I suffered some massive burnout from Super Mario Odyssey, so I decided to take a break from it. I was dabbling between different video games, but the one game that I really wanted to get into was Super Mario Galaxy 1, and that will chart where I currently am. So Super Mario Galaxy, very cool game. At the time, the main runners of the game that I saw were Mr. Crowd Kirby, who recently came back to the game and has been popping off, and Hardcore Gaming. So, back in 2021, that was like when I was going to my senior year of high school. And as a result, I decided to pick up another speed game because school was going to keep me busy. And this was back when we were all going back in person. So I wouldn't have enough time to be speedrunning anymore. So as a result, I took a bit of a break to run Super Mario Galaxy. And honestly, the community was very, very helpful for me, like starting out the game. So around 2021 is when I started like doing my full runs. My first run of the game was a any percent Luigi, a 3 hour and 15-minute run. So it was a very improvable run. But at the time, I thought I could keep pushing, and I thought I would become a runner to get sub to 40, which now is like all right. But at the time, it was like probably like the time that I would be beating. So um after my first semester of senior year, I also decided to pick up other Mario games because for one of my school projects or my senior capstone classes, we had to do a project where we helped out do the community by doing something we love. And my project was actually to do a multi Mario 540, which if you see the boards, it's barely under 12 hours, but because of that, I was learning like almost all the games back to back. So I started off with learning Galaxy, and then slowly I learned Galaxy 2, and then I also learned the other three games on the side. So Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 64. So because of that, my introduction to like seeing other communities and their speed games was kind of like my introduction to speedrunning. And yeah, overall I think running multi Mario has really improved my outlook of speedrunning because back then I used to be like a one game person, like I would only speedrun Super Mario Odyssey, but after like becoming good at Super Mario Odyssey at the time, I was considering to myself, hey, why don't I put this energy to other games? Because I mean, I really want to enjoy speedrunning. So that's kind of like my motivation for running all these games. Why be good at one game when you could be good at the other six, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, after I did my multi Mario run, it was a very, very good run, and I was really happy with the results. Everyone, all my friends were congratulating me on it because it was over 12 hours. My teacher was congratulating me on it, but yeah, during the summer 2022, that's when I graduated, and I'm now in college. But yeah, so after I did my 540, I decided to mostly focus on the Galaxy games because I felt like, actually, specifically because in the 540 relay, I PB'd by 3 minutes in Super Mario Galaxy 1 any percent. So because of that, I wanted to push the game a little more, and also because of the fact that I was learning to use 2P. So 2P in that game basically allows you to collect star bits and do extra jumps. And before then, I wasn't really using the second controller option a lot, but I was serious about improving in that game. So I decided to continue doing more runs. And about a few months later, I got a 223, which I thought would be the final time that I would get in that game. And as a result, I was able to focus on other games. So I also improved my Super Mario Galaxy 2 any percent time at the moment. So as a result, I only mostly focused on the Galaxy games over the summer, and then when college hit, I was pretty busy with college for the first 3 months. And then slowly but surely, I got back into speedrunning again with Super Mario Galaxy. I was speedrunning 120 Luigi back then, and after I got my PB, which is a 531, and it was really good at the time because I think I'm the only 120 Luigi runner to like get a 50-minute PB at like a top level. So it was a good PB for my time. and I was really happy with it. So after I did 120, I think that was when like 2023 hit. So at the time, I started playing Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64 again. I was mainly doing Super Mario Sunshine because I wanted to improve my any percent PB because I didn't have sub 130 at the time. And I have a good friend in the community. His name is Red Mountain, who's really good at the game now. We both were grinding to see who could get the better PB, and I beat Red just barely, but over time he became good at the game, and now he has a really good time, almost 10 minutes better than mine. So because of that, I've been doing a lot of other games, and then back in April, actually, I was kind of like having some mental health issues, so I decided to like take a break from speedrunning. But in May, when I finished all of my classes and schedule was perfectly fine, I decided to come back to speedrunning again. So I did have a bit of a break in between, but I did come back to Galaxy because a good multi Mario friend of mine, who's also like one of the best multi Mario speedrunners at the moment, his name is Rodeo. He got 219 in Galaxy 1 any percent Luigi, and that kind of motivated me to come back. So during the summer of 2023, that's when I started like going very serious about Super Mario Galaxy because I did had a lot of opportunities to showcase the run. So one was at Pace where I did any percent Luigi in a 540 relay, and I also did an 80% Luigi run for Aquathon, the first Aquathon in that time, and I think would be like a good introduction for like the Aquathon stuff. But
Yeah.
I'll explain a little more about Aquathon later. But during the summer of 2023 was when when Aquathon was created, but I was just on the team just as a means of helping out. But over time, with Galaxy over the summer, I started improving a lot more faster. And by the end of July, I got my 219.32, which is my current PB on the board. So Galaxy is the one game that always puts me back into speedrunning, and I'm more than happy to play it. It's the first game that I've speedrun in a while that I know I can improve in, and I know I'll have a good time playing. So that's kind of like my journey with speedrunning. And then recently, 2024, I tried coming back to Odyssey for a bit, but I also dabbled in some of the 2D games that I never really dabbled in before. So one of them is New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I decided to play the game for a bit, and in 2 days I got probably the biggest minute barrier in the game's existence, which is basically beating the game in under 25 minutes. So I was able to do that pretty quickly, and because of that, I've gotten introduced into a lot of the New Super Mario Bros. Games. So the current game I'm running, New Super Mario Bros. 2, I started in January, and right now I'm still playing the game. I'm trying to go for top 5 in the game. So because of like my ability to like continue playing all these games, I've been like improving pretty fast at them, and a lot of people have said I've been improving a lot fast at them. So I try to capitalize and with these new games, my mindset of improving and doing certain strategies to improve, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we are at right now. I'm playing New Super Mario Bros. 2. I'm trying to go for top 5, and afterwards I'm gonna come back to Galaxy and finally kill my chances of PBing in that game, which is getting a 215, but yeah, it's kind of like my speedrunning story. So I knew about speedrunning in 2012. I came on a Twitch in 2016. I started speedrunning seriously in around the 2019 to 2020 time, and I'm currently playing the games that I am in 2022. So that's kind of my introduction to speedrunning.
Nice. Yeah, that's a lot of games. That is pretty impressive to be able to kind of dabble in all sorts of games. I'm definitely the complete opposite because I've pretty much exclusively been doing Odyssey since like 2018.
That's definitely my mindset. That was my mindset for a bit too, Zach. But then
Yeah.
afterwards, like 2021, I think it's definitely the communities I've been in. I've been in a lot of communities where there are different runners of different games, and I'm really excited to like know a lot of these people that are playing these games. So it's really easy to like get into a lot of these new games. The reason why I got into New Super Mario Bros. 2, funnily enough, is Cads, one of the best New Super Mario Bros. Wii runners ever. Shouts to Cads. he actually started playing the game, and I was watching him do screen share the game in VC, and I was like, "Ooh, this game looks kind of cool, but it also seems easy." And he told me that you should definitely learn this game. So as a joke, I decided to get my 3DS and play the game to see how it goes. Like a month later, I've been grinding aisles of the game, and now I feel like I have record potential. So,
Wow.
I mean, at the moment, I'm just going for OX, but who knows? I might grind for record in that game because it's really cool.
Yeah. NSMB 2, I remember playing that when I was a kid. Actually, funny story. I don't think I've ever said this before on stream or anything. But so when I think I was like, this is pretty unrelated, but when I was like, I think 11 or something, I had my 3DS and NSMB 2, which was a game that I really loved at the time. Because this was like well before Odyssey came out or anything. Actually, it was probably when I was younger. I was probably like 8 or 9. But I remember once like I had my NSMB 2 cartridge, and I think my brother or someone like threw it, and I was like in my laundry room, and it was just completely messy with everything. And then I had to go find it, and it took me like 30 minutes, but eventually I found it. And then my dumbass was like, "Man, that was fun." So then I threw it again because I wanted to go find it again. And then I never found it. Yeah,
damn,
it got lost forever. It was very unfortunate, and then I probably cried for like 2 hours or something. But
well,
yeah,
if you knew about homebrewing, you could get the game for $0.00. So
that's
you
true.
got to think about that.
That is true. Yeah. But yeah, NSMB 2 is a pretty fun time. What is record? Out of curiosity.
So record right now is a 2604.350. It was recently beaten actually, like not too long ago. Like I think 4 days before this episode is going to air, I think CAD has already beaten the record like a few days ago.
Wow.
And it was a pretty good record because he actually took like a 2 month hiatus. Something about CAD is that he's basically like he plays all the New Super Mario Bros. Games, but he's insanely good at them. Just like before he got record in this game, he got a record in New Super Luigi any percent, and he also has record in New Super Mario Bros. Wii any percent. So right now he has 3 out of the 5 records in the mainline any percent categories. So yeah, the record was beaten. My time right now is at 26:15, which is 11th place, which kind of sucks because something about New Super Mario Bros. 2 is the ending autoscroller. You have to hit a switch off screen, which is not only really difficult, it also makes it really hard to determine whether or not your run is good. And by failing to hit the switch, I choked top 10 for absolutely no reason. So it would have been top 10 if I got the switch hit, but at the moment we're going to be pushing for OX or like as close to top 6 as possible. At the moment, I'm just trying to get as close to record as possible, which is like a few seconds off, like 2 or 3 seconds. But yeah, that's all I got for New Super Mario Bros. 2.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of I think it was the NSMB Wii summoning salt video. One of the like the records like was about to hit the switch, and then they accidentally did a motion control, and then like I think they like propellered like above the switch and choked a record. And it was like it was like a really crazy part of that one summoning salt video. But yeah, that kind of reminds me of that. Anyway,
the summoning salt video was also released, I think, before ATC was found, which is like a big skip in 8 Castle, which saves 10 seconds.
I remember seeing that. That's a crazy glitch. It's crazy that like these 2D games still have like a bunch of like not a lot, not very frequently, obviously, but like every now and then like big glitches and skips are still being saved for like these 10-plus-year-old games. Like obviously that's the case with Odyssey too, but like Odyssey's definitely a bit newer and also a lot more complicated of a game probably because it's 3D and stuff.
I think with Odyssey, I think we might be seeing, I don't know, but I feel like we're slowly like at the point where we might not be able to like implement everything because I think the glitches we're trying to find are pretty low. So
Yeah.
at the moment, moon clips and the new Wiggler escape technique, I feel like after that it's going to be pretty hard to find glitches, but
Yeah,
people surprise me.
there's still definitely a lot of strats like in BTT and stuff that aren't in runs, but I don't know how viable those are going to be for actual like RTA setting because obviously they're very, very hard, everything in BTT. So
I'm still waiting for
yeah,
Tyrone to do slope vaults and runs because then he'll have
yeah,
55.
that is definitely probably the biggest thing in BTT that could be done in runs because it saves like 4 seconds.
But if you actually fail them, you
Yeah,
basically it's game
you
over.
completely kill the run if you fail them. But I remember actually at this summer pace, I don't know if you saw it because I know you weren't there, but during the LTA on one of the runs that wasn't that good for Tyrone, but like I think it could have been an event PB potentially but it
Yeah.
would be really tight. He did slope vaults and he got it, and it was a very electric moment in the crowd. It was kind of crazy.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
nice,
because that
nice.
is insane to do in general, let alone like on stage. So that was a pretty sick moment from Tyrone. I think he tried it again later during the event too, because he had another similar run, but I think he failed at that time. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yep.
So what all the game? Because obviously you've been in multiple communities, lots of different connections. Of all the games, what community do you think you had the biggest impact on, or like would you say it's like your main community?
That's a good question. It's a community that for a game I haven't even ran so in like 4 years. It's the Wii Sports community because I mean a lot of people still talk about my runs, even though like I don't bring up the fact that I run Wii Sports that often. But yeah, I used to have a bit of I used to have some records in Wii Sports Resort back in like 2018 when I was taking one of my Super Mario Odyssey breaks, and I got a lot of friends in that community. But I think like as of right now, I think the community that I mostly interact with is people from like the New Super Mario Bros. Series community because of the fact that I'm running New Super Mario Bros. Wii and New Super Mario Bros. 2. And a lot of people on the esports team that for Team Aqua are mainly New Super Mario Bros. Wii oriented. So a lot of people from the New Super Mario Bros. Wii community and also the Galaxy community are probably like the people I talk to overall, and some multi Mario people. So generally in the vicinity of like multi Mario and New Super Mario Bros. Series, a lot of people that are in CAD server I talk to. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Wii Sports, I feel like anyone that's had like Wii Sports like top runner status, I feel like that's just like people just know you. I feel like Nitro, a lot of people know him. Obviously, people knew him for Odyssey, but a lot of people also know him for Wii Sports. He was in a Summoning Salt video for Wii Sports before he was in one for Odyssey, because obviously there isn't an Odyssey Summoning Salt video, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah, I think back then, I mean, I had record, which was like in 2018, but obviously that was before Wii Sports speedrunning like took a big hit. I think it was in the pandemic when the speedrunner Murasaki, I don't know if you've heard of
I'm
Murasaki, but
not.
he was the one who like mainly popularized Wii Sports Resort, and he also got like the likings of Professor, who's like the main guy that produces like famous Wii Sports Resort content. He actually has been in his chat a lot because Murasaki is like one of the few people at the time to do an all stamps run, which collecting all the stamps in Wii Sports Resort is absolutely the most difficult task ever. Like, I mean, even though I had records in some of the categories, I never even was able to like get close to collecting any of the stamps. So it was definitely a challenge back then.
Yeah,
So I would really like to come back to Wii Sports again and just play the game casually, like get all the stamps again. But yeah, at the moment I'm too busy with speedrunning, but maybe in the future when my life's relaxed and I have a family and I'm living the pickpocket fence house dream.
yeah. All right, so switching back over to Odyssey. Obviously, wait, what's your PB right now? Like, do you have 100?
So I still have a 100. It's a 10055.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was somewhere around that range. How much are you dabbling with Odyssey right now? What's your kind of goal? I think I've heard that you're probably gonna eventually go for sub-hour. Are there any
So
strats you're implementing, etc.? And yeah.
So at the moment, I think my old PB, the PB before my 10055, it didn't really have platform clip or wiggler cycle. So those are the two main tricks I started implementing. And overall, I've just been doing ILs here and there. and as a result, I've been trying my best to improve the time. But another reason I also came back was I want to get back into Mario again, and out of all the games, I think Odyssey is one of the games I could have a major advantage in. So the reason why I came back was mostly for consistency's sake, but I also do want to get sub hours. So at the moment, more specifically about any percent, my sub is at 59.25. So if I feel like I can get that down by like a few more seconds, like into the 1x range, I think I definitely have the capability of going for sub hours. So once my sub reaches like the 1x range, I think I will definitely do serious sub hour attempts. But at the moment, I'm just trying to get as close to sub hour as possible and trying my best to like improve my PB as much as possible, because a lot of the runners that I never really expected to have sub hour actually do.
Yeah.
Or yeah, no, a lot of the runners nowadays are like insanely good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when I left the community, I think I've seen a resurgence of like newer top runners. But yeah, I've been having a lot of people helping me behind the scenes. I mean, VGR, shouts to VGR. He's also been like probably like the most helpful for me. He's been critiquing my golds. Um, but yeah, David as well, Smo David, shouts to David. He's also been helping me with getting into the game again, like learning a lot of the tricks. But yeah, at the time, both of them were probably my biggest help. But at the moment, I mean, there's not much they can do anymore. It's got to be all me doing attempts seriously and also playing the game and doing my best. That's about it.
Yeah, I feel like Odyssey is so interesting, and I've definitely talked about this, like I think in the Lucid episode and even the Odd Me and Hex episode, but just like we're at the point now, like a few years ago there were like 30 to 40, like maybe 40 sub-hour runners, which is a lot, but like not like a lot. And now we're at the point where probably by the end of this year, there's a good chance we'll be at 100, because right now I believe we're at over 90, and it's just crazy. Just seeing like so many people I've never heard of before just post onto Twitter like sub-hour PB, and I'm like, who is this person? Like, I've never seen this person before. It's crazy.
Almost to the point where you genuinely think some of them are alts. Like, I mean, I remember when I saw Max's PB, and I thought this guy might have been a Mitch alt because his layout seemed pretty similar. But I mean, apparently the guy's talented. He is very well respected BTT wise.
I didn't believe, like, it took me a long time to fully believe that Max was a real person. This guy went from 59 to 58 to 50. Does he have? Yeah, I think he has 57 now.
He has a better PB than Fred.
Yeah, he is crazy. His improvement has been so much quicker than like almost any other Odyssey runner like ever. Like, it's kind of crazy. It was hard to believe, especially since he kind of came out of nowhere, and he's not like the most active like socially like on Twitter and stuff. So he's kind of unbelievable. I'm sure a lot of the audience watching this has never even heard of Max F2, because he's kind of just like, he's not like the most known person. He just kind of is insane at the game and has just been quietly becoming like really, really good. He'll probably get 56 like in the next 6 months. So that is like
another runner
insane.
I want to talk about, but Autumn actually. Autumn recently got 57 too, which is really cool because I mean he was in one of our Aquathon events and VGR and him were racing World Peace. But Autumn actually, like, I was there for like 6 months ago. I think he just got sub-hour, but now all of a sudden he's like improved so fast that he has like 57 now, which is really cool.
Yeah, Autumn's a really good friend of mine too. He's kind of improved very quickly too. I think he got sub-hour like, I think at the end of last year, I want to say. He definitely got it before I did, by a pretty good amount. But yeah, then he got like 58, and recently he got 57 after like one of the hardest grinds I've seen from anyone for that.
A lot of 57 runners that I'm really happy they have 57.
Yeah.
Autumn, Carmen, I'm super happy Carmen has 57. He absolutely deserves it. And Odyssey guy too.
Yeah.
I was in his chat back like when he was like on his last attempt and he got 2 DSS, and I was like internally screaming, and I was like, get this shit, buddy.
Yeah, dude, when the 2 DSS, just once you get to a 57 level, it's just so it's so like nerve-wracking. Like you get nervous for the runners when they're about to do 2DSS on pace. Like it can either kill a run or just be the most exciting thing ever. And it also like manages your expectations so that it's not just like everyone in the chat is going completely off the walls during Moon Kingdom. Like you have to wait until like the last minute, and then it just makes that last minute of the run so much more exciting, I feel like, because like once you get to
the fact
DSS,
that you have pillars, so
Yeah.
on top of like getting one of the most nerve-wracking tricks at the end of the run, you still have to play pillars like insanely well. It's like
yeah,
super overwhelming.
yeah, it's kind of crazy at a top level how difficult Odyssey can get for sure. Okay, so you talked about your aquathons a bit. I'm kind of curious about like what is the origins of the esports Team Aqua. I know they used to have a different name. I don't remember what it is anymore. But yeah, how did you become owner of that kind of esports team? What's the origin story behind that?
So we created the team around May of 2023. I think one of the original owner, his name is swaGh, who I've known since he also plays New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So him and he contacted me and said, "Yo, you should join this esports team." And I was like, "Absolutely, I want to like join out." And I saw that some of his close friends also joined. So most notably NM and Big Cheese. I don't know if you know either of those guys, but Big Cheese also has ran Odyssey, but his main game right now is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So we four were the original like main people to join the team, and then after like a month or so, once we got like everything organized and settled, we decided to add more people. So we actually added someone who's been with us since the beginning. His name is the Mine 2001. Mega D, I like to call him, has been with us since the beginning too. And overall, the team has slowly become a lot more successful since then. So the first 3 months, I was the one who was mainly the one behind organizing events, and the other owner slasher was the one who was responsible for just recruiting people. And at the beginning, that was pretty much it.
Nice.
So a lot of what I did was pretty much like organize stuff, get stuff set up for events and whatnot, and that's pretty much my main role right now. I'm not like a big speedrunner of the team because we have a lot of talented speedrunners on the team. So compared to me, I could do my best to just host events because I pretty much have really good knowledge with doing that. So it kind of like started out with just restreaming events, but over time I became a lot more trustworthy in like handling decisions, and the fact that I'm liked by multiple people and I have very strong connections. I was promoted to be one of the owners as well. But yeah, that was pretty much my origin of Team Aqua. It was originally called Team Eternal. However, in
Gotcha, yeah.
November, we had some issues with the teams overlapping because we wanted to be a solo speedrunning team, but we also had COD players on the team because at the time it was a speedrun slash COD team, which is Call of Duty. And at the time, I really did not want to have a COD team at the time, so we decided to rebrand to Team Aqua, and we made it a speedrun solo team at the time. So we rebranded around in November, so our first year anniversary is going to be coming up in like 3 months, which I'm really excited for.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. I feel like I've never actually seen like a speedrunning esports team before this one. Like obviously like every college has like esports and everything.
Yeah.
But that's like it's more like, you know, Fortnite, Rocket League, like those types of like big multiplayer games that people win trillions of dollars for. But it's really cool to see like a speedrunning esports team, because I feel like speedrunning, it's like it's becoming so much bigger in the gaming atmosphere as a whole that like 50 years from now I could totally see like speedrunning being like part. Maybe 50 is a pretty long time, who knows if humanity will still exist then, but like 25 years from now I could definitely see like speedrunning being part of those like esports teams at colleges and stuff, which would be really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, back in like 2012, no one even ever heard of speedrunning, but like now in 2024, I mean, it's become so mainstream. I mean, you see like on news articles like almost all the time, like this new 64 record that's being broken, new 64-minute barriers, and a lot more speedrunning related content, like from Carl Jobs, for example.
Yeah.
He's also making a lot more popular content for a lot of underrated speedrunning games. Him, Lunatic J, shots to Lunatic J as well. But yeah, speedrunning content is becoming slowly like more mainstream within multiple people. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, like Summoning Salt's videos are now like he's almost at 2 million subscribers. I think he might be at it. And then there's obviously like so many YouTubers trying to make videos similar to his, but still with their own style, like Lunatic J, who I got the pleasure of meeting this last summer pace. He's a pretty cool guy. And then like even stuff like the Blue Scooty with like the Tetris at the beginning of this year, I had like family members asking me like what the deal was behind that, and I was like, it's just like I tried to explain to them, but I was like, I'm not a Tetris player. But yeah, it's really cool to see like all of this like speedrunning stuff becoming a lot more mainstream. Even like even if people don't know much about the speedrunning community, they've at least heard the word speedrun before and they know it means going fast. Like even if I'm at school, sometimes I'll just hear people casually say the word speedrun in a conversation, like talking about just doing something fast. And it's just cool to see that word like more widely known about and just more more universally known, I guess.
Absolutely.
So for Team Aqua, how often do you do these aquathons? I know there is some sort of, what is the main like charity that you guys normally do? I kind of forget. And like what's it been like partnering with them?
So the main charity we've been supporting is St. Jude.
That's
We
right.
all collectively as a team decided that we want to contribute and help out the charity. So overall, the way we decided what charities we'll be supporting was we actually had one of the owners and leaders. Right now that's NM Big Cheese and Zombie. Shouts to legit zombie guy. I'll explain more about the members later on for the team, but at the moment, we have the leaders and owners decide on some charities that they want to support, and we ask Team Aqua members which charity they feel like aligns with their values more often. So after we find a consensus or majority rules, we decide to support that charity. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which charity we're supporting as long as we're able to put on good performances and raise money to help out someone's charity to be successful and make an impact on the world. That's pretty much our main goal. We don't really care about what charities we support, and I think a lot of people on the team don't really care about supporting a specific charity. We just want to support charities overall and
Yeah.
help make the world a little better.
How much
Right?
how much have you guys made for St. Jude's?
So the beginning showcase of 6 months ago for Aquathon 2024, we raised over $750, which we thought we weren't able to clear that last this Aquathon, which was about a month ago, but we actually managed to raise over $1,000.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, we have some really good friends in the New Super Mario Bros. Wii community, and one of our friends, his name is Mongo. Shoutouts to Mongo. He he's kind of like the Slap Daniels. I don't know if you know about Slap Daniels, but he's very infamous for donating money to a lot of money to Super Mario Odyssey speedrunners. So Mongo, similar to Slap Daniels, he also makes a lot of money. So he's able to donate that. But I think the difference is Slap, I mean, we make jokes about him robbing a bank, but we don't know how he makes his income. But with Mongo, he basically states that he makes a lot of his money from Bitcoin. So by getting incredibly lucky, he's able to help out and he put his money to good use. So we thank Mongo for that a
Yeah.
lot.
That's awesome. Yeah. There's always like those like Twitch chatters or those people that just like donate a lot in everyone else's streams, and then I'm just like, where are these people in my streams? It'd be so nice to have one of those
I'm
guys.
just happy they help or help out, like not just to like donate money to like show off or anything,
Yeah.
but they do put their money to like help out people and including charities, which I mean is really awesome. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's their money, so I'm really happy that they're choosing to support charities instead of with their money as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, over
that's what I'm happy about.
$1,000 for one event is really, really impressive. Like, it's definitely hard
Almost
to.
all the $1,000 were from himself only. So
Okay. Well, it's still like, yeah, it's still like really good, and obviously it's going to keep growing, and more people are probably going to donate to the cause. So that's really, really cool to see for sure. Anyway, I first met you obviously last summer at Summer Pace 2023. I believe I only saw you for the first day I was there, because I was there on Tuesday, and I think you might have.
So I was there for the first 4 days.
Okay.
I was there for 3 days, and then the fourth day I left like pretty like in the afternoon.
Okay.
Because we actually have family in Maryland, so we decided to see them off before we went back home. But yeah,
That's
it was
right.
a great
Yeah,
time.
I remember. I think I saw you for a day and a half. Then that makes sense. And I remember VGR was like teaching you fish dip at one point, which is pretty cool. I remember he taught me fish dip actually. I think.
Funny enough, if he didn't teach me fish dip, I wouldn't have any motivation to come back to Odyssey. So
Wow.
because of VGR teaching me that trick and getting better at it, it kind of like revived my love for the game and like, yo, I actually want to like come back to this game and be good at it. But I was
Yeah.
just gonna say that VGR teaching me how to do a fish dip, that was basically like my motivation for coming back to the game. But at the time I was running Galaxy and I didn't know how long I would spend. But funnily enough, like 2 weeks after I got 219, so I decided to come back early to the game. So after like August, I started doing attempts like every so often, but with school coming in the way, it was pretty hard for me to play. So I did do SMO like occasionally, but that was pretty much like pace. But
Yeah.
overall pace was really, really amazing. I mean, I went with my dad and brother too, so unfortunately they kind of like just started doing their own thing and I told everyone about it. But yeah, for the first 2 days I was mainly hanging out with people from the multi Mario community, so Hex, Rocks, I was pretty much with them for like most of the 2 to 3 days I was there. But yeah, so the first day it was a pretty funny story. I don't know if you heard about the 206 incident, but
Yeah, I think I did.
unfortunately for the 206 incident, I went to sleep a little early, but I heard from people that people got super wasted to the point where Tibbs and everyone else was like throwing up. So I felt really bad for them, but the funny thing is, almost all the parties at Pace, I just never like really attended any of them. But I mean, they were also very well dealt parties. I mean, no one was over drinking, no one forced anyone to drink. But I thought the parties were okay. I just was really tired, and I'm like a early morning person, so I normally like sleep very early and I wake up very early.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah.
I can't relate to that.
So
Go to bed at like 4
So the
a.m.
first day-
sometimes.
So the first day, that was when everything happened. The second day was when the 120 or 132 relay occurred. So that was basically the Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 relay. And I felt really good about the relay, and Tibbs slowly but surely got more comfortable and they started playing the game insanely well. However, Oddme unfortunately was not able to like participate because he unfortunately passed out, so we were kind of worried about him, and I was really hoping that we was okay. But the next day, it turns out he was doing a lot better. I don't know if you talked about that on the previous episode, but I'm not going to go into too much about it because I mean I want to respect Oddme stuff. But
Yeah.
I was happy that he was doing well. I also got him McDonald's for free, so. But yeah, I got him free McDonald's to help him out, so I was really hoping he was definitely okay, but he's doing much better, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do remember, I didn't see you too much, but I do remember we walked to the hotel with you very briefly.
Wait,
got
I
to
was
check that out.
I was forcing Oddme to
Yeah.
I was harassing Oddme with VGR. Like, look at this trick jumper.
Yeah.
It's Oddme's worst nightmare. Confront your fears.
Yeah, that was really funny. You're scaring VGR into about like the Oddme's secret chamber, and he's gonna lock VGR up or something. I don't remember exactly what he said. It was
Come on,
something like that.
RG.
It was
No more trauma bullshit.
dude. It was so awkward. It was so awkward. You made it so awkward beating Oddman. I feel like
100%. That's the thing I'm very good at, though. I love making, because of like how like open I am. I love making everything like super awkward. So
Yeah.
by showing VGR to Oddme, I was like doing some weird unlicensed exposure therapy, which probably would have gotten me fired or even worse, arrested if I was a therapist. So that was amazing.
Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, so the day of the relay, I actually, like, the day of the Galaxy relay, after like a bit, or like when people were playing Galaxy 2, a lot of the runners, like, who stayed up late that night were also playing Uno, so I decided to play a few games with them, but I also got like super tired, like 2 a.m. like at the night, so I unfortunately couldn't have stayed like during the race, but I did get some sleep. I was on 4 hours of sleep when I was meeting you guys, but I tried my best to like be as awake as possible. But I felt like people could sense I was tired because I slept at 3 and I woke up at like 7 because of how excited I was.
I had no idea, honestly. It seemed pretty awake to me. I feel like.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Pace was definitely fun. A lot of funny stories, and I hope to go to Pace next year if I'm not like busy with any traveling, because the only reason I couldn't go this year was because I was in India for 2 months and I got these cool threads and whatnot.
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, for the past 2 months I've just been in India. I've been living life, but now that I'm back in the US and speedrunning, I might do a lot more stuff here.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is what's the next speedrunning event? Because I obviously only got to see you for those couple days last summer. But
So, about speedrunning events. So, I have a big like thing we're trying to work. The new Super Mario Bros. Series runners. We're actually in the process of creating our own GDQ submission. So, we're tackling the big leagues now. So, we're planning on submitting a new Super Mario Bros. Series any percent relay. And considering I've become like insanely good at NSMB2, I'm actually like super excited to submit this because there wasn't like really anyone who was passionate about New Super Mario Bros. 2 until I came along, which is funny to say because I've been only running the game for 7 months. But I'm joining the submissions, and I'm also getting a lot of top runners from each game. So
wow.
Enforcer, who's currently the New Super Mario Bros. U record holder, agreed to join. Josh, who's the New Super Mario Bros. DS record holder, agreed to join. Pidgey and Cad are both. Pidgey definitely agreed to join, and Sorry, I don't know if you know Sorry, but he's also a top level New Super Luigi runner, so he also agreed to join. So we're trying to like get a New Super Mario Bros. Series relay because New Super Mario Bros. The last time it was shown off at a GDQ was 4 years ago, and that was only New Super Mario Bros. Wii. But I also do want to show off the new games again because a lot of the New Super Mario Bros. Games that were shown off at GDQs like prior were really old and not well executed runs. So I'm hoping to like change that with these new runs.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I hope you guys get in. I wish you the best of luck because I know GDQ is.
We hope so too.
It's hard to get in. Yeah, GDQ is difficult.
Unfortunately, Mario runs haven't been a lucky factor in GDQ. I mean, I know that Dangers got accepted like a year ago, which I was really happy about because I was really excited for Dangers run if the donation goal was met. But I'm really hoping I gotta get my luck going. The new Super Mario Bros. Series relay is definitely like one of the things that we gotta get in. I'm hoping Mario Maker people do not submit, so we got a good chance. And I'm hoping GDQ staff is very generous to us. Because,
Mario Maker.
I mean,
yeah, sorry to interrupt.
I'm running.
Mario Maker.
Pidgey,
sorry.
Josh, Enforcer, and Sorry, we're all 5 iconic people in the new Super Mario Bros. Community. So if we don't get accepted, we will be very shocked because we're all have made some impact on the games that we've ran, like some way or the other.
Yeah.
So I will be surprised if we don't get accepted, but we'll just hope.
Yeah, it's hard to really expect anything for GDQ though because it's just so big. Like there's so many submissions, and unfortunately it's not like Pace where Mario just automatically, I feel like at Pace, I feel like if you have a Mario submission and no one else has that Mario game submission, that's just like a boost. I feel like you have a chance, like because
it also is.
Yeah,
it also makes it easier considering that people at Pace don't really go to like do runs; they mostly watch the LTAs. But if you do submit, there's a high chance you'll get in for at least one of the games you submit. Last time I was at Pace, I also decided to submit Mario Kart Wii and race rocks in it, but unfortunately that didn't get accepted. And I tried to run New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but the Galaxy really got submitted, which I was really happy about. So we
Yeah.
all tried to make it work, and I think it went well.
I've been getting very lucky at these last few paces. This last summer pace, obviously, I had the darker showcase, which is really, really, really awesome.
Were you the only one running it, or was someone
No,
else running
it was me. It was a four-way race, so it was me, Dylan, Duckable, and Awesome Agron, and it was
nice.
It was it was probably like the best night I've ever had. It was just we did that, then Rockin', Anto, and the Discount Boys did a song premiere in the parking lot.
The Discount Boys Riz Party, holy
Yeah.
shit. I watched that video too. I mean, I was so happy because it was like, I'm so happy the Discount Boys all got together, but
Yeah.
I mean, the carnival and shit, that was so funny.
It was so cool to see that in person because no one understood anything they were saying because it was just so loud. There was also like the video that you saw, it was a cover, obviously. It wasn't like the live audio. The live audio, which there is a version of that, I believe, linked in that description. There was like a train like ran by in the middle of the song, and just in general, we couldn't hear like anything that anyone was saying, but it was so funny because of that.
It also started out like so funny, like with Lucid and Rockin' just getting on their knees and then like just bowing down, like they're about to like gain power and energy. But then like as the song goes on, Rockin's just jumping around and everyone's just standing there.
Yeah,
and it just looks so fucking awkward, which is really funny.
I have to give a massive shout out to Rockin' and Anto. I don't think I'm extroverted enough to just run around like that and completely.
Rockin' isn't even that extroverted either. I just think like if he's in a comfortable setting, he'll definitely like act like that, which I think is really
it's so impressive that they're just able to literally bounce.
I was
off the
so
walls.
pissed off too. Like, you guys better start jumping too, man.
Yeah,
I'm so pissed.
They were going crazy with the energy. It was so funny. And doing that right after the darker race, which this is gonna be the third Speed Talk episode I mentioned this in a row, but so I apologize to viewers. But at the end of my darker race, Autumn actually paid me $20 to do spin throw U skip. And I did spin throw U skip, and then like it was like the most electric moment. Like everyone was.
I didn't know Autumn also appeared at Pace, which is really cool.
Yeah, he was. He might go to Fall Pace this year since he lives in Jersey, but I'm not sure if he is because he said he might not be able to because of the expenses.
Oh, they changed the location, or I thought it would still be in Laurel.
It is still in Laurel, but just like yeah, just because well, Jersey's not too far from Laurel. It's only a couple hours. Like my drive's only like 3 hours, so it's doable.
For like going to like Pace, I definitely do want to go to like other events in the next coming years. I want to go to ESA in like once I graduate.
Yeah.
But GDQ actually might be a good chance for me to like go because I mean GDQ is like 8 hours away from me. It's probably closer to Pace than it is for. It's actually closer to Pace. And also the fact that GDQ is occurring from the 5th to the 12th is really, really nice because I don't go back to school for like a week after that. So I get a week off like after GDQ. So, I mean, I'll definitely be watching a lot of the GDQs now that I actually am free, which will be nice. But yeah,
that'd be cool.
I really want to get in, and I'm hoping to submit to more GDQ events and hopefully get into them.
Yeah.
The game I'm obviously going to be running is New Super Mario Bros. 2 because I think that's the best chance I have of like getting into GDQ if possible. So that's the main game I'm going to be speedrunning for now.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to like maybe someday go to like a GDQ and someday go to an ESA. I want to experience all the speedrunning events, but I'll probably always stick mostly with Pace since it's pretty close to me and I can get there like pretty easily, and it's also just not that expensive, especially compared to like GDQ or ESA, since I'd have to travel there.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, Pace is always a blast, and yeah, it's pretty cool event. It's always nice having the in-person speedrun events. Anyway, moving on, we have 2 fan questions. Oh wait, we have 3 fan questions. That's crazy. Nice. We had 2 before this episode. Oh wait. I think okay, we just became black screens on OBS. Let me see if I can get the fan questions up on my Chromebook so that our face cams don't disappear. Good. Okay. So we have 3 fan questions. Which someone must have filled this out during the episode because we only had 2 before when I started the recording. But the first question is obviously from Ghost TSR himself, and he wants to know, why do you not have sub hour?
Why do I not have swaGh? Because I'm a fraud, and he sucks balls. So he sucks at everything in Super Mario Odyssey related. He doesn't play the game. I mean, he doesn't practice. He's not serious about IOs, and he just sucks.
Yeah.
I think that guy should just stop speedrunning forever. Okay.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, next question from Enforcer. And Enforcer has 2 questions, it looks like. First, he wants to know, do you call them tissues or Kleenex?
They're paper napkins.
Okay. Is there like some sort of origin story behind this question that I don't know?
I don't even know. The thing is with Enforcer, he just like says the most random shit ever. He's the new Super Mario U record holder that I talked about.
Okay.
So,
nice. That's funny. I figured there was like some inside joke there, but it's honestly funny.
All jokes aside, I think I call them tissues because I mean, Kleenex is a very specific brand. Tissues is like very general.
Yeah. I also call them tissues. He also wants to know, what would you say separates an average speedrunner from a pro speedrunner, aside from just time spent grinding?
2 factors mainly: how they spend their time grinding, and also what strats they're trying to grind out. So the difference between like a regular speedrunner and a pro speedrunner obviously has to come down to the strats that they implement, but whether or not they also can save time with the strats. So with Super Mario Odyssey, I like to use this example a lot because this is like the only game where they're like 1 or 2 second time saves that mean a lot like throughout the entire run. So if you're playing Super Mario Odyssey and do something like Cage Triple, for example, if you learn the strat but you're not able to save time with it, it would probably be better for the meantime to like alternatively do a slower strat but also save time over doing the faster strat. That's the thing about some speed games, though, is that it's pretty obvious whether or not you'll be saving time with the strats you have, or whether or not you have to grind out the strat entirely for it to save time. So that's really where movement and like whether or not you can optimize anything comes into play, especially for a lot of the 2D games. You have to go for a lot of the fast strats, and you also have to be super consistent at it to like improve. And as a result, that's what separates the pro speedrunners from like a regular speedrunner. If you're a pro speedrunner, you know you got to do the strat, you know it will have to save time, and you know you got to make it save time.
Yeah.
So that's the main differences I see, mainly with the strats they do, and whether or not they can save time with the strats from consistency.
Yeah. I would kind of add to that and just say, like, for me, like, I don't consider myself a pro Odyssey speedrunner, mostly because all of my runs I kind of just do, like, when I feel like doing runs. I've very rarely practiced any percent. And I think to be a pro speedrunner, you have to get a top time through really good movement and just impressive movement. You have to have a knowledge of the game you're running, obviously, and just practice. Practice is, like, kind of definitely very important. I'm just so lazy when it comes to practicing. Like, I just always want to do runs
People
instead.
also have to understand that execution will always be the same no matter what. So if you don't know, like the thing with nerves is, even though you might be nervous, it's just a mental process at the end of the day. You're still physically capable of executing movement fast as possible. But if you are not nervous, but you don't know how to execute fast movement, then you're going to be losing seconds, which will overall add up and can make a big difference throughout the entire course of whatever game you're running.
Yeah.
So it's definitely really important that you learn strats that are fast and you're able to execute pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure. And then our third and final question is from Galaxian, who wants to know, what do you like in your speed games? What makes a good speed run in your opinion? And they said Team A clears UG, :3.
Team A clears UG. That's our motto for Team Aqua. Team A clears you, because we're cementing ourselves as the best speedrunning esports team with how strong our runners are. But in terms of speedrunning, I think the three main factors that make a speed game enjoyable is the replay value, the nostalgia factor, and the strat. And this is actually something that I watched a video about recently from Zem92, who's a top Ratchet and Clank speedrunner. But the strat to difficulty ratio is also another one. So the replay factor is a game that actually makes sense to speedrun. It has a proper story plot line. It's not a it's a mainline game in whatever series you're running. So it's a mainline Lego game, Mario game, Luigi game. So those are like it's a main game and it has a good plot. And the length is also not too long to complete like casually. So if you're playing a game that's like insanely long, like Persona 5, that's like almost 15 hours long speedrunning wise, then I don't think that's a good speed game. But if you're speedrunning a game that's under 2 hours, like Super Mario Odyssey or Super Mario 64, Super Mario 64, I'll always die on the hill that it's a very well-timed game and it's really easy to learn and it's a good game to like complete runs of.
Yeah.
So the length of the game is also tying into like the replay value, but yeah.
Yeah.
The second one, I think, the nostalgia factor. So a lot of the games that I speedrun, mainline Mario games, are games that I have played in the past or grew up with. So Super Mario Galaxy was the first Wii game, first Mario game actually that I ever played, and I got it when I was 5 years old from our local library. So our local library used to do something where you could rent out games for like a week or two and you'd have to return it afterwards. But in those 2 weeks I had the game, I was able to make some significant progress, which for a 5-year-old that doesn't understand how to read or write, it was a pretty impressive deal that I was able to do. So the nostalgia factor for all these games are very near and dear to my heart. So that's why I run a lot of these games.
Yeah.
The third factor, the strat to difficulty ratio. So a lot of the games that I run are have strats that save time, but are also a little challenging to execute. Something that I've always been proud of myself for is my ability to challenge myself whenever I play anything or do anything in life. So my ability to challenge myself is primarily the reason why I like playing the games I play. So when it comes to strats, if you're doing hard strats, but you know what you're doing to execute and successfully pull them off, that's where I get very well pulled in. Because for some games, notably Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, there's a big skip that allows you to skip an hour and a half of the game. That's also really easy. But afterwards, the boss fights in Mario and Luigi games, if you're severely underleveled, you are going to like most likely struggle against them. So for easy tricks, if there's a massive trade-off or like downside to like doing those easy tricks, then that's what makes like a speed game like really difficult in my opinion. But if you're also like finding a strat that barely saves time and also improves the quality of the game that you're running, it also helps a lot. So one example I can say is Twilight Princess. Recently a trick of a year ago that was recently obsoleted called Norgor. So basically, in 3D Zelda games, frame perfect tricks are probably the worst thing ever to do. But there was an alternative to Norgor, which was involving killing one of the messengers, which are enemies in Twilight Princess, to spawn warp portals. So by doing that alternative, by finding alternatives that are not only easy, but save slightly more time and also make the quality of your gameplay a lot more better, I like those games a lot more too. So back in 2022, Twilight Princess was like a really difficult game to run because Norgor, which is a frame perfect trick, and Stellar Skip, which is another like insanely difficult trick that was supposed to be considered task only, also got implemented. But after removing Norgor, a lot of runners have only been focusing on Stellar Skip, which not only is very helpful, but also has made the quality of executing and getting runs out of early game a lot more better. So definitely the strat to difficulty ratio is really important to consider when you're playing a video game.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I definitely think for me a good speed game, like it kind of all comes down to like the movement, I think. Odyssey I think is kind of stuck with me for so long just because it has like one of the best movements, probably my favorite movement of any video game ever. It just has so many options. You can do so many things that completely break the game, and it's almost like Nintendo intended for you to be able to do that and was okay with it, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, the thing about Odyssey is that you're not even skipping most of the game too. A lot of the skips that are theorized, like Brunchin, for example, aren't really like possible to do. So you rely mostly on like small skips here and there, which also make like the viewers like at the edge of their seats, like
Yeah,
curious about what they're gonna do next.
yeah, it's kind of
So you're not
nice.
only like going through the entire game, but you're also doing cool stuff to like show off like the entire game as well.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's like there's not many games out there that are as optimized as Odyssey when it comes to all these different strats throughout that don't like skip a huge portion of the game. Like Odyssey, you still go through the whole game. You go through every kingdom one by one. There's no way to skip the kingdoms, at least that we know of 7 years after it's released. Probably will never be a way to skip the kingdoms. Who knows though? Um, the biggest portion that you skip is Moon Cave, which I mean, there's speedruns of that. That's only a 2.5 minute sequence. That the biggest skip is a 2.5 minute skip, and it's very easy, obviously. And then beyond that, the biggest skip is like 25 seconds from like Knucklet, which is like you don't need 25 seconds to get like a somewhat okay time. So it's really cool to see from Odyssey like how beginner friendly it is, and also how easy it can be to get to like a, or not easy it can be, but how accessible it is for people who want something more competitive, more at the top level. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
but anyway, that concludes the fan questions. So that's gonna end off this episode. Thank you so much, Ghost, for joining me. This is a very fun time.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me again. I'm really happy to talk about Team Aqua, but if it's okay, I want to give a shout out to Team Aqua
Yep.
themselves. I want to give a shout out to um Slasher for being a really good owner and letting me help Team Aqua become successful, and I hope that we become a lot more successful in years to come. And I also want to give a shout out to our co-leaders who have been helping us behind the scenes. Big Cheese, NM, and Zombie, who was recently added. We're planning on hosting more events in the future, which I don't know if you saw earlier, but a few days ago before we started recording this episode, there was a live time attack that I restreamed entirely from my own end for purposes like that. So I'm hoping that I can do more games and do more LTAs in the future. So the one we did for was New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and yeah, I'm really hoping that we do more events like specifically marathons, relays, and LTAs, which I'm really excited to host. But yeah, I also want to give a shout out to all the members individually. So in no particular order, we've got the Jack and Daxter Goats, Zombie obviously, who's our leader, who's a leader. Drunk House, and Eddie. Eddie has been on record pace in Jack and Daxter any percent, so they're really good runners. I want to give a shout out to Enforcer and Galaxian, who are also on Team Aqua, and they're the ones who just submitted fan questions just now. I want to give a shout out to our Sunshine runner, Seti. Seti has also been at pace, and he's also a really cool guy. So I'm really happy that he's on our team. Our very good Splatoon runner, El Claudio or Claude, who's also very talented at the games that he runs. Galaxian, again, and Enforcer. R. John, very underrated Celeste runner. She's very good at the games. VGR as well, being our first Super Mario Odyssey runner. Kind of like killing off any chance of it, any SMO runner joining the team, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
of how high he set the standard. Saria as well. Saria is very talented at a lot of games. I'd consider him like equivalent of my skill level, in terms of like how fast he can improve at games. Who else? I like to thank uh Jake Bob Dart, the other ghost. Uh who else? Nanase and swaGh are two Japanese runners who are not only very talented at the games they run, but are very nice, pleasant people. Um, and finally, I wanted to give a shout out to, uh, hold on, I got this. I want to give a shout out to our former Team Aqua member, No Life. who was our very good Galaxy 2 runner for a while. But yeah, that's all I have shoutouts for.
Nice, a lot of shout outs. And I will be putting, of course, as always, all of Ghost socials and Team Aqua socials in the description of this video, so everyone make sure to follow both Ghost and Team Aqua on all their socials so that you can be up to date with everything going on.
I just want to let you guys know, like, a really quick advance that Aquathon is going to be hosting submissions in about a few months, or a month or so, in October. So if you guys have a game you want to submit to the showcase, we will be more than happy to accept it. We want to, like, get the showcase to be pretty long, so we're hoping that we get some submissions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, pretty cool. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe for future episodes. And before we end the video, I almost forgot. I'm going to announce episode 6 guests. And this time, we have not 1, not 2, but 3 guests joining. And that is JokerFactor, Needle, and swaGh, who are actually the hosts of the JLB Podcast, which is another speedrunning podcast. And I may or may not be joining an episode of their podcast pretty soon as well.
Yeah, no, Joker, Needle, I've seen them at Pace. They're very talented online Super Mario 64 runners, and swaGh I've been talking to recently. He's also a very fast improver at Mario Galaxy, so I'm hoping to see swaGh on the top leaderboard soon.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that episode. Everyone, make sure to check out the JLB podcast as well, everyone watching. But if you do have any questions for any of those 3 people or all of them, put them in the Google form. The link to that will be below for any fan questions. But with that being said, I've rambled long enough. Thank you for watching. And yeah, peace.